This video consists in large part as an interview that took place between Mark Sargent and a student from blind Brook High School. Mark did such a great job at explaining the questions that were asked of him that I thought I would just provide the entire clip here for my channel. I did not consider that I could improve upon that which he has so eloquently stated to the student. This clip was provided with the full permission of Mark Sargent. Sit back and take a listen to the very bright student's inquiring thoughts on where we all live. I found that by pausing the video as it progresses, to have the time to read, and to comprehend the graphics on the screen, can be most beneficial for my viewers. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your day. Carpe diem.
All right, let's try that again. I won't touch anything.
Oh, is it the connection? Is that why?
Yeah, the connection just died. I don't know why. This is a landline. Anyway.
Oh, okay. So we're just asking if you're okay to be recorded for our transcript.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I assume
all right, awesome.
everything is recorded. So
the first question that we have for you, what has led you, or what started your belief into the Flat Earth Society?
And just so you know, it's not the Flat Earth Society. We have nothing to do with the old school version. If Flat Earth was software, we would be Flat Earth 2.0 that basically relies on social media more than anything else. The old Flat Earth Society, we don't even talk to them. They don't have anything to do with the conferences. And but anyway, to answer your question, how did we get in? How did I get into this? I got into this in 2014 because I was looking at a whole bunch of other conspiracies and was basically just bored. And it's like, Flat Earth, I'll take a look at that. It's stupid and nobody really cares about it. Thought I could just shut it down in a weekend. And then 9 months later, I realized I couldn't prove the globe in a court of law anymore. So I decided to make a series of videos in 2015 called Flat Earth Clues. Put them out on the internet, and it seemed to resonate with a whole bunch of people. So that's where we are.
So you said, which I thought was very interesting, that it's more of a Flat Earth Society 2.0 than the original. And you said something about the social media and like the popularity for it. Would you say that that overrules the scientific claims? Like, what scientific claims, or what science supports those claims that you have?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, if you're looking for my best proofs as far as why it's resonated, why Flat Earth just won't go away, the top 5 are the first one would be long distance photography, which is we can now see with HD technology and HD cameras, we can see way further than what should be possible because of the curvature of the Earth. The second one would be gravity versus the vacuum of space, which is, okay, where you're breathing an atmosphere right now. It's 80% nitrogen and 20% oxygen. What's holding it down to the ground? Why hasn't it been ripped off by the massive vacuum of space? And you say, well, it's gravity. And I come back and I say, okay, let's just do a quick little thought experiment. Let's say you're in a building right now and you have a second floor, and you make that second floor a vacuum chamber. You put a cork in the ceiling, you pop that cork. What's going to happen? 100 times out of 100, the air is going to equalize very, very quickly and violently. And you're saying, what's your point? My point is, why didn't gravity keep it in the room that you're in right now? And then you're kind of stuck. Science has nowhere to go with that. Third thing would be the eclipse shadow. The eclipse shadow is too small. If the moon is 2,000 miles wide, why is the eclipse shadow on the ground only 70 miles wide? And they say, well, it condenses kind of like a lens. It's like, oh, really? Because we say the moon is really only 50 miles wide anyway, so it matches up way better with ours. On the ground down here, shadows never get smaller. They are always actual size or larger. And you say, oh, well, it's that whole convex thing which science talks about. I go, okay, fine, the same thing should work for the moon. So if the Earth is 8,000 miles wide, then the blackout zone on the moon, there should be this giant black dot that crosses it about 250 miles wide. We never ever see it. Fourth would be the moon temperature, which I love, even though it doesn't prove a flat Earth in any capacity, which is the moon light generates a cold laser light that you could measure with a $20 thing, point and click thermometer you pick up at any hardware store. up to 13 degrees Fahrenheit swing. And what I mean by that is it's warmer in the moon shade than it is in the moonlight, which is the exact opposite of the sun. Absolutely mind-boggling. Does it prove a flat Earth? No, but it absolutely destroys the relationship between the sun and the moon, meaning the moon is basically its own light source. It doesn't reflect anything from the sun. It's stimulated.
Oh, okay.
And
So,
last but not least would be the Van Allen radiation belts, which is a trap question, which I came up with a few years ago, which is, are the Van Allen radiation belts, which were announced by NASA in the 1950s, are they deadly? Yes or no? And if you say yes, they are deadly, then how did the Americans make multiple round trips through them in the late 1960s with no shielding whatsoever? The only thing that can stop radiation is lead, gold, and a whole bunch of water. They didn't use any of those for the capsule. Nobody died. Nobody got radiation poisoning. Nobody even got cancer. There's still 5 of them walking around today. They all died of natural causes. And you say, well, okay, they're not deadly then. I come back and I say, well, no, because NASA made a video at the end of 2014 saying, it's called Orion Trial by Fire, saying they're really deadly. And they can't even test their Mars program capsules because they haven't figured out how to solve the radiation problem. And it's like, what are you talking about? You solved them perfectly back in the 1960s, absolutely flawlessly. And what happened? What changed between then and now? So between those 5 questions, I posed those 5 questions to a Georgetown physicist. I don't know, about 18 months ago, and because he wanted to do a debate, and that was it. He just closed up shop, said nope, done, and we never ran the segment.
Wow. Okay. So going back to what you were saying about the moon, do you believe the other planets and the moon and the sun are in fact spherical?
No. Well, I mean, they look spherical, but only from an appearance standpoint. No different than a video game. Like, I don't know what you guys play, but I mean, do the planets up in the sky in Fortnite look spherical? Yeah, of course they do. That's because they're drawn that way. When you go to a planetarium, and I know you guys probably aren't even old enough to go to planetariums because nobody goes anymore. They're super boring. But when you look up, you see the moon and Jupiter and Mars. And so, like, if you go to a planetarium, you look and you see Jupiter. Does Jupiter look spherical? Yes. Can you land on it? No. Why not? It's like, well, because it's just a pretty image on the ceiling. And that's all what I'm saying that the planets are. I mean, yeah, the planets look spherical, but really they're just some really attractive clock system that was designed for us a long time ago before we even had the inkling to make clocks. Because that's all really the sky is. It's just a really intricate clock system that can be understood by any language and any culture.
So we can't land on it because
it's not there. There's nothing to land on. Can you land if you're looking at a picture of throw a high def image of the moon on your television screen? Looks real, right? Can you land on it? No. Why not? Well, because it's a 2D image that just appears 3D. That's all we're really talking about here. We're talking about a giant projection system. Now, some people have said, well, the moon might be 3-dimensional. It's like, yeah, maybe. But I still don't think you can land on it. That even best case scenario, you're talking about an object that would be less than 50 miles wide and would be self-illuminated, and who knows what the physics are when you get up there. But it's not. But it's definitely not 237,000 miles away. It's only, I don't know, at most 3,000, give or take.
And you would say, like, the picture making it seem curved because of the wide angle lens, which makes the Earth seem curved when it was not.
Oh yeah. If you want to get into that, why when you look at photos and images from NASA, why does it look curved? Oh yeah, wide angle lens, otherwise known as a fisheye lens, otherwise known as a peephole lens. I don't know why people go with the fisheye lens, because the peephole thing makes way more sense, because everyone's looked through a peephole at least once in their life. When you're in a hotel room, you look through a peephole in your door and the hallway is curved, but you know full well the hallway is perfectly straight. So why is it curved when you look through it? It's because of the lens. Lenses can do, ask anybody who's in the entertainment industry. You can do all sorts of fun things with lenses, and Hollywood figured that out a long time ago, and NASA picked up on it, as soon as they were founded in 1958.
A lot of to go back to space in general, I know the one topic in debate, according to flat earthers, that it seems like is a stationary Earth. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that?
Oh yeah. Well, no, that's a good question, and which is, you got to remember the reinforcement that we have had our entire lives. I'm older than you guys, but it's been there forever, and that is that you live in this vast, empty universe, and the Earth is this tiny little rock flying through an impossibly empty place. What we're saying is there is no space. I mean, you could be basically living in a box that's sitting on a lab desk, and everything, the sky is just a simulation. The sky is an illusion. So there doesn't have to be space. Space doesn't exist because why would it? If 99.9% of the people believe in the illusion, then you don't need anything else. It's a waste of resources. You don't have to build an entire solar system or a universe. We're talking about basically we're living in a snow globe, a pizza box, a Hollywood soundstage.
So then how are we able to track weather, through satellites or through...
Oh, no. I'm not saying there aren't satellites, but if you want to have some fun, and none of the stuff I came up with in the clues and any of the research that everyone's doing, none of it's secret. Look up the high altitude balloon programs, the satellite balloons that NASA's been doing ever since they were founded in the 1950s. Do you know that NASA is the world's largest consumer of helium? And do you know why? Because they launch balloons literally every day with payloads, with satellites up to 4 tons. That's 8,000 pounds. And there's videos of these things, when they go horribly wrong and crash into cars. There are satellites flying around there, sure. And can they track weather? Sure. Do you need do they have geostationary satellites that are hovering at 3,000 miles? Doubtful. Do most of the satellites handle most of the bandwidth? No. And everybody knows that in media. Almost all of the bandwidth, even the bandwidth you and I are talking right now, is all fiber optic cables that have been laid for years and years. Fiber optics have been around since the late 70s. And we started laying those cables really, really quickly in undersea. And that handles most of the bandwidth. Can you do some stuff with satellites? Sure. But if it's pennies on the dollar, why in the heck would you launch a satellite on a rocket when you could just do it on a balloon? And NASA's been really quiet about that. In fact, I talked to a guy down in Australia who worked on that program, and he even admitted on camera that, oh yeah, we send up balloons all the time. In fact, look up, if you get a chance, look up on YouTube when satellites crash somewhere, wherever, whatever neighborhood they crash in, they're always tethered to a balloon. They don't come down like a meteor. They just come down because the balloon started running out of air. They actually don't even land that hard. Most of them are still intact, still working when they land. Sorry, I digress.
Okay. Do you believe in the ice wall around the Earth?
I do, but I don't like the name as much. I know that people are really big on the whole ice wall thing because of the whole Game of Thrones, that whole thing. Winter is coming. But for me, the ice wall, remember when we say the ice wall, we're just talking about the Antarctic coastline. The real meat of it is when you go inland, because Antarctica, even as science describes it, is the most unique continent out there. Meaning most of it is a plateau at 7,000 feet high at least, or maybe even more than that, maybe 10,000 feet. I can't remember exactly. But it's above altitude sickness. And it goes up to 20,000 feet in some places. So and it continues inland. So the ice wall is just the beginning. The Antarctic coastline, just if you're talking about where you would how far inland you would have to go before you hit the barrier, the wall, the edge of this snow globe, probably several thousand miles at least. I mean, the United States and the Soviet Union were basically trying to do it from 1928 all the way up until about 1956 with better and better planes. They were flying out there and flying and flying and flying. And eventually in 1956, we believe that they found it.
So let's say that you were able to go through those few thousand miles. What's the end point? What happens when you reach that end point?
That's one of the big questions.
Obviously, gravity.
Well, yeah, if it was me, I mean, is it, when you reach the edge, when you reach the barrier, let's say the wall of this place, what exactly are you looking at? I mean, dealer's choice. Are you looking at a heavy element, electromagnetic frequency, a unified field, heavy water? Maybe if it was me, I would treat it no different than what we do in the simulation world. I would throw in negative physics. I don't know, if you guys ever game, if you run to the edge of the map, what happens? You're running, but you're not going anywhere. You literally can't move forward. Negative physics goes against you, at least in the simulation, and you're just not allowed to even touch the outer barrier. It's there, but you can't get there.
And even with the barrier, not seeing what's on the other side, let's say if you were to dig a hole completely underground, to the point of no return, let's say.
Yeah.
Like people that believe in a round spherical Earth, they have the core, and let's say when you dig somewhere, you go into the complete opposite in the Earth.
Or what's the makeout of the lithosphere?
Oh, no, that's a great question, and I love it when people ask this. In fact, it was in my clues. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it, which is people say, well, in fact, I had this question yesterday. It's like, well, what's underneath? What if you dig down on a flat Earth, what happens? Kind of like the impossible Minecraft scenario. When you dig down, what can you reach the bottom of Minecraft? We don't know because even globalists don't know. Meaning, if we've all seen the cross sections, right? 4,000 miles to the center of the Earth, right? The Earth is 8,000 miles wide, 4,000 miles to the center, and we've all seen the pretty cross sections with red and orange and yellow and white bands. But the deepest hole ever drilled is what? Is it half that? 2,000 miles, 1,000 miles, 100 miles? It's not even 10 miles. The deepest hole ever drilled is 8 miles. After that, they cannot go any deeper. For whatever reason, the Russians and the Germans tried it for years, tried to break the 8-mile barrier, although, and if you're metric, 12 kilometers. And they couldn't do it. So why not? And if you can't go past 8 miles, then what are all the drawings of the inside of the Earth look like? Why are those perfect 1,000-mile bands? They have no idea. In fact, you go on Wiki, you can look up stuff where the geologists will say, oh yeah, we have no idea what's down there. And so my question is, why don't you put a giant, instead of the Earth with the cross sections, why'd you put a giant question mark in the middle of the Earth? Science doesn't do that. They want to come off as being as credible as possible. It's like, well, it's our best guess, and our best guess is better than you, so we're going to say it's this, even though they have no idea what's down there. So do we know? Nope. But neither do you.
And
how's that?
That's very true. That's very true. One more question,
Sure.
And this is more of an extreme hypothetical. What do you think has got us to where we are now? What do you think has brought us here, and what do you think is out there, out of our atmosphere, our lithosphere, everything? What do you think started it all?
You mean, okay? So what you mean? Like, how did life exist? How did this place get built?
How is it built?
Well, that's, again, it's one of the bigger questions. Like anything, I mean, it's no different than the cosmology question that science asks, which is, okay, I know that science will go back and say, well, we can track all the way back to the Big Bang, and then, of course, they get stuck. It's like, well, what happened before the Big Bang? It's like, nothing. It's like, okay, that's fine. Ours is a lot more simple, which is, if it is a snow globe, if it is a pizza box, if it is a terrarium, planetarium, then just by default, its shape means that it was built by something, deliberately by something, which means there was some sort of creator. At that point, you can only go down one of two paths. Are we talking about an advanced civilization that's much older and much more powerful than ourselves? Or are we talking about the religious divine? Basically God, in Santa Claus in a bathrobe on a Sunday morning, big white bathrobe. Take your pick. It's either one of those two things, because it has to be one of those two things, because we didn't build it. So at that point, you're talking about one step closer to finding out the meaning of life and our purpose, which is the big reason why Flat Earth is resonated so much. And because we say that you're not just some little rock that can be snuffed out by anything from gamma rays to a black hole to a rogue comet at any given time. You are this little box that's just sitting somewhere. And it was made deliberately just for you. And this is empty cosmos. The place is very deliberate, and it gives a lot of people a reason. It gives them purpose. It gives them hope, and that's why it just keeps growing bigger and bigger.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Sargent. Really, really appreciate this. Taking your time out to help us with our presentation. Hope you're successful for the rest of the society.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
All right.
Have a good weekend. All of that. Thank you so much again.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Also, if you find yourself about to take a look down this very deep rabbit hole in much greater detail, Then please consider one or more of my 8 published works sold exclusively through Amazon at any other sites worldwide. Just go to any Amazon site online and in their search window at the top of their page simply key in Barry Howard Begley and all of my published works will pop up. These books are available both in ebook format, available instantly, or you may wish to have a printed hardbound edition sent to your doorstep worldwide. If this YouTube video has left you intrigued or even a little angry, then perhaps you might wish to visit my website at www.barryhowardbegley.com for more information. I can be reached at the email address or text phone number listed on my website. Thank you for watching my video here today. I hope it has entertained you and possibly even annoyed you when you begin to examine your own world just a little bit closer. Have a wonderful day, one that sparks joy in your life, and may God bless you.